Okay, baby, we're live, but we got to let it breathe just for a second. Just for a second, make sure we got the entire community in the house for this one because it's time to revel. It's time to celebrate. Come on, connect streaming software. There we go. And we're good. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Mile High Huddle podcast, the gut reaction as your Denver Broncos absolutely trounce the Atlanta Falcons. What was it? The final score 38-6. Zach, the Broncos have officially swept the NFC South, Sean Payton's former division. And in case you missed it last week, you got yourself a franchise quarterback by the name of Bo Nix. Your gut reaction to the Broncos' sixth win of the season, getting back over 500.
I don't know Bo's final stat line. I saw it a couple minutes left, but what occurred to me was, like, I'm not saying he is. It was very Brady-esque, Chad. He almost has as many touchdown passes as he did incompletions. The guy was slinging it. He was the most decisive I've seen him all season. He was locked in, and I think he should be in serious consideration now for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Franchise quarterback, definitely.
I'm getting a little ticker going here real fast. Hold on. You're going to want to see this. Everybody will like this little illustration here. Stand by. I'll fix it here in a second. Zach, on top of that, Chris Hernandez is jumping in with a massive gut reaction game day super chat. He is the multiplication master this season, going off, man. Thank you, Chris. I hope this means things are going really good in your life, and hope your boy's band is doing kill. Thank you, bro. Thank you. He says, great win. Offense really starting to click. We need more Devon Vele. These are Bo's Broncos Offensive Rookie of the Year. 38 points times. He's multiplying the points by the wins. Dog. This is great. A mathematician and a legendary mythical Mount Rushmore super chat superstar. Still rocking, Zach. The vintage face mask. What was it called? I guess it's a face mask. And the old Huddle Up pod mug. Love you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. And I caught a little flack earlier on Twitter for saying Lil Jordan Humphrey should be off the field permanently because he had that drop that was ruled a completion, then he scored the touchdown. I stand by that. He has at least one flub every week. He had the holding penalty earlier in the game as well. And Chris, I'm right there with you. I think 100% of Lil Jordan Humphrey's targets should be going to Devon Vele. Thank you again.
Oh, dude. Update, though. You're going to have to let your boy know. How's your son's band doing? I hope they're doing well. Thank you, Chris. Seriously, dude, so generous of you. My hats are off to you, big dog. Love you. Cullen jumping in with a super to say Bo Nix, the fix, Rookie of the Year. Yeah, Zach, there was a time where it seemed that Daniels in Washington had the Rookie of the Year thing kind of sewn up. Just to check, let me see. Where's Washington? So let me see how he did today real fast. 191 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Nothing to write home about. Bo Nix. So he peaked early, Zach, and he's starting to fall back down to earth. Whereas Bo Nix kind of started out a little bit, I would say conservative, meager, whatever, out of the gates, but has steadily been on the rise. Gets his first 300-yard passing game of his career, throws 4 touchdowns, becomes the only quarterback, or first quarterback, I should say, since Peyton Manning in 1998, rookies, okay, to have 200 yards passing and 2 or more throwing scores in 4 straight home games. The dude just keeps like checking the boxes, dude, making statistical milestones and setting franchise and league records.
Yeah, not bad for the 6th quarterback taken off the board, huh? And, Jaden Daniels might still win it, but we were saying that earlier in the season. We don't want our rookie to peak early. We want him to peak later in the season. It's exactly what Bo Nix is doing, Chad.
William Shaw jumping in. Thank you, brother. Good to see you. He says that blocked field goal in Kansas City landed on the last F the Broncos had to give. Wow. On to Las Vegas. I will be in the house. Let's get loud. Denver Broncos for life. Looking forward to the show today. Hit that like button. Yes, brother. Thank you for that reminder. Please hit the like button. And while you're at it, make sure you also connect with us on X at Mile High Huddle, the main podcast at the MHH Pod, my part here. at Kelberman NFL. I'm at Chad and Jensen. I'll tell you, though, I don't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter except tweeting from at Mile High Huddle, articles and stuff, and tweeting the games. But still, connect with your boy. Thank you, guys. We got the Duchess checking in.
Thank you, Michaela.
Michaela Parker with the top rope super chat. Thank you, my friend. Love you. She says, mark my words, Bo will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Every game, I'm more and more impressed by him. Over-impressed. Totally. And Zach, I don't have the exact receipts in front of me right this second. I could go back and find it if I really want to at some point. But when we first started talking in the summer about Offensive Rookie of the Year odds and just where Bo Nix fell, we talked about on this show, don't be completely shocked because remember, he's got Sean Payton. Some of these guys landed in pretty good spots. But relative to the coaching fit, that was the one big thing that jumped out that separated Bo Nix from any of the other first-round quarterbacks is the coaching fit. Not just because of Peyton's experience, but just the fit. And, boy, that's coming out in the wash in spades, Zach. I wouldn't be surprised either, Michaela. I'll mark those words, and I'll be right there with you. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm glad you brought that up, the coaching. I've given Sean Payton a lot of crap for his play calling in recent weeks. I thought today he was fantastic, Chad. And if the Broncos do end up making the playoffs, it's not unreasonable to think they could have the coach of the year, the offensive rookie of the year, and maybe the assistant coach of the year in Vance Joseph. Shout out to him. Another great defensive performance today.
So awesome. I love it. Isn't it such a great feeling, you guys? Ted Wunderlich in the house, our friend and superstar. We got a chance to hang out with him and his old man just a couple months ago now. Says this one feels really good. A good bounce back. Bo is absolutely terrific. And best of all, we win the Scott Kennedy Bowl, MHH for Life bow and arrow. Yeah, don't shed too many tears for your boy, though, because, you know, Scott's happy either way, right? Because he's got you guys in Broncos country. So, you know, it's kind of like when you see the Ellis family today, Zach, at the game, and they're rooting for Jonah and they're rooting for Caden, etc. Like either way you win, let's put it that way. But one thing that's really cool, Zach, about this game, aside from all the other stuff we've talked about and we'll go on to discuss, is the fact that people have been saying, you know, Broncos, yeah, they got 5 wins, but they haven't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anybody with a winning record. Well, you saw that Atlanta has a brutally bad defense, Zach, but they are a plus 500 team in the lead of their division. The Broncos didn't just beat them. They freaking beat the pants off them, held them to not even a touchdown. So hats off to the Broncos.
Yeah, I think the prevailing thing we've said this season is the Broncos have to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And they didn't just squeak by the Panthers or the Saints or today. They absolutely blew them out of the water. It wasn't even close. It was clear the Broncos were the better team on the field. So they might not be where Baltimore or KC is quite yet, but they're definitely better than the Kansas Cities the Falcons and the Saints of the world, which is progress, Chad.
True. Our friend Zebo, a.k.a. Jack, down in Oz, checking in with a very generous super chat, proving that Broncos country is not a geographic location, baby. It is, in fact, a state of being. Thank you, bro. His message is, g'day, y'all. I don't know what else we could ask of this team. This was a complete performance. I'm sure media will find yet another excuse, but I don't care. This was an emphatic win, and Nick's 300, the first of many. MHH for Life, Bo for 300. Yeah, dude, it was cool. Like that last drive that Humphrey scored on, it's funny because I decided, I'm like, where's it? What's he at? And he was at 266 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I was like, man, he might not get to that 300, you know, because right now Sean Payton's probably going to try and just grind out the clock, Zach. And then all of a sudden, boom, Humphrey, and he goes to the house. I'm like, yeah, he got his 300, baby. Then they sat him down, but beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, the stat line is important, but also the throws and the decisiveness that Bo Nix had today. The one over the middle, was it to Vele or Sutton? It was an absolute dart. Chat. I mean,
yeah.
Like all the people that said that Bo Nix has no arm strength, just run that one throw on repeat, and you would see that the narrative has been busted. So, yeah, the first of many, and franchise quarterback. It's a good time in Broncos country.
And Josh Allen just picked up the first down. He's going to score a touchdown. The Bills are now up. They're about to go up 9 points on the Chiefs with 2:17 left. It's looking like the Chiefs are going to be counting their lucky stars that they're not on a 2-game losing streak here. We'll see.
Yeah.
Mahomes is a magician, but Zeus McPeak in the house.
Thank you, Scoop.
Zeus, I'll break it out. Let's go. He says, "Go Broncos!" The first face on etched on our Mount Rushmore of the MHH superstars. I mean, we've got multiple Mount Rushmore superstars throwing down tonight, from Stu to Michaela to Chris to many, many. This is awesome. Also, I heard from our boy Naj. I don't know if we'll see him in the chat tonight, but he was there in attendance, and I'm so happy for him, Zach, because golly, man, the last time we were there, that Steelers game, it didn't work out too well for Naj, who made a trip of something like nearly 4,000 miles round trip to see that. So anyway, stoked for Naj. Brendacho, what's up, dude? Thank you for the generous super chat. Top Rope says the Broncos own the NFC South. Vele is a dog, and George Payton cooked with this draft class. We are for real, Broncos country. Broncos for life, Buckham times 3, MHH for life. We do need to give Vele his props. For the record, he finished as the second leading receiver, 4 receptions, 66 yards, 5 targets. So this is the first time in a minute, Zach, that he didn't catch every single target. And I'm trying to think which one it was that was incomplete, but this is just a chain mover. When the chips are down, Bo Nix looks his way between the 20s. Inside the 20, maybe a different story, but between the 20s, Zach, when they need that conversion, if you're the defense, start keying in on the 7th-round rookie, Devon Vele, because that's where Bo Nix is going, because Vele keeps delivering.
This is why the Broncos moved on from Tim Patrick, because they felt they had a Tim Patrick 2.0 in Vele. And every time I see him make a clutch grab, unlike Lil Jordan Humphrey, he looks like Tim Patrick out there. Before I forget, though, I want to give a shout-out to Javonte Williams. I know he's not part of this draft class, but George Payton did draft him. He kind of turned back the clock today, that bulldozing run where he flattened Justin Simmons, who, by the way, Chad, said F the home crowd in getting the Falcons pumped up before the game. So a nice little dose of reality there for Justin. All in all, a good day at the office.
I don't begrudge him. He's trying to get a win. He gave Broncos country their props earlier this week. So it's whatever. He's got fish to fry. I'm not going to hold it against him too much anyway. And, unfortunately got sent home with a brutal, embarrassing loss. No revenge there for Justin Simmons. Rip Dive Dog. Great to see you. He says, good early birthday gift. Turning 46 tomorrow. Oh, sweet, dude. Well, make sure you're in the room tomorrow night. We'll give you some birthday props, okay? He says, Bo knows. Not going to say it. Turn our focus to Las Vegas. Let's get that first win there. Thank you for bringing that up. Broncos are rolling. Bo Nix is feeling it, Zach, and it's time the Broncos snap that ignominious streak. They finally broke the whole Raiders thing. They broke it last year on the Chiefs. Now it's time to get that first win in Vegas ever for the Broncos.
It's time for the Broncos to go on a roll. This is where they could build their postseason resume going forward. Statement win today. Hopefully the best is still yet to come. Happy birthday, not belated, but early birthday to you, Riptide. We'll see you tomorrow. Max Rio, $5 Canadian. Appreciate you, Max. Bring out the brooms, boys. The team is on fire. Go Broncos. Absolutely. It seems like Sean Payton, Chad, absolutely hates the NFC South, and he demonstrated that this season.
That rivalry, how it gets your blood up, that whole thing is still quite evident in Sean Payton relative to the NFC South. He hasn't been gone from that division for too long, and he spent whatever it was, 16 years of his life, 15 of which he coached. One of them, he was suspended. I think it was 16. But either way, that's a long time, dude. That's like Mike Shanahan anytime he plays the AFC West after he left Denver. But Ralph Bracegirdle, what's up, brother, on Facebook? Great to see you. Says, my prediction was 33-17, and you guys were doubtful. They overperformed my expectations. Yeah, happy to see it. I knew that this Falcons offense wasn't going to be as productive as it might normally be, but I didn't expect 6. I'm trying to remember what my official score was in the roundtable, but it wasn't 6 points, Zach.
The only one I can remember being doubtful of was, I believe, Phil, who said 17-10. And I thought the Broncos should score way more than 17 points. So good call, Ralph. You were spot on this one.
I'm just checking here real quick. So, yeah, I had Broncos 27, Falcons 16 in the roundtable. Kelberman had Broncos 30, Falcons 20. So there you have it. Diamond Rattler, what's up, brother? Great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. He says, boom. Let's go. Let's go indeed. In fact, while we're at it, let's bow. You know what I'm saying? You feel me on that? Let's bow. Casey Nickel, you like that? You like that? I'll do my Kirk Cousins impression, make a fool of myself. That is how you respond, Casey says. Welcome to the future, Broncos country. Many wins to be had. We have our future. Let's go. A dark horse playoff team. I don't think it's a dark horse anymore. I mean, they entered this week as the 7th seed, still in possession, despite the 2-game losing streak. That's another great thing about today, Zach. You get off the schneid, you snap a 2-game losing streak. But this win not only keeps them in that conversation for the wild card, but advances them because they're now plus 500, Zach.
I think you put it best there. Dark horse nor more, because even the national media can't ignore how well Bo Nix is playing, how well the Broncos defense is playing, and how they're trending in the right direction. They were starting to pick up little breadcrumbs from the regional media and analysts, but now I think we're going to see the Bo Nix love fest from some people come out, and rightly deserved. But the Broncos, last thing I'll say, they can't read their own press clippings because they beat up on the Falcons. They can't get too big of a head. They have to put their head down and go right back down to work against a team that they've struggled to beat in Vegas, like you said, Chad, in recent years.
The Dolphins did get a win today, so they're 4-6. I'm just taking a quick look through the standings. Bengals, they play tonight. So the Bengals, the Dolphins, those are 2 teams you got to worry about for that wild card spot. And the Colts, who are 5-6, they beat the Jets today. So we'll see how. And the Chargers, technically we're within striking distance. We got to worry about the Chargers. So tonight it's Bengals, Chargers. In a perfect world, either one of those, whoever loses, it's good for the Broncos. But you got to err, Zach, on the side of the Chargers, hopefully losing tonight's game. And it's looking like the Bills are going to finally snap KC's perfect season so far. Duchess jumping in again. Love you, Michaela. She says, I saw that they sat Surtain too. Bold prediction, the Broncos will make the playoffs. So she's got 2 bold predictions tonight. Playoffs, Bo Nix, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Zach.
I think they go hand in hand there. If the Broncos make the playoffs, it's because that Bo Nix has played so well. So, yeah, I mean, you could see Coach of the Year, Rashawn. The accolades too much Malone as well. As long as the Broncos end that streak, we're all happy.
And, I mean, for what it's worth, listen to this murderer's row, Zach, of opponents for your 6-5 Broncos. The next 3. Raiders, week 12. Browns, week 13. Colts, I think week 15, because you got the bye on week 14. So it's shaping up pretty well for the Broncos to secure one of these wild cards. And, boy, that's the worst streak, right? The worst streak that's still lingering for Broncos country is having not participated in the playoff tournament since the 2015 season. So looking like that's going to end. George Fox, let's hope anyway, just based on that, the way things, like we said after the Chiefs game, trying to lift people up is, hey, that was a heartbreaker. We were all bummed. I mean, I was stunned, Zach. The first 45 minutes after the final gun, I was just like in a fugue state. But it's like, hey, and you look at these final 7, there's really only 2 opponents that give you some pause. We just knocked off one of them. The other one's the Chargers again in their house. So it's going to be fun to see how this season shakes out. Broncos have a great opportunity. George says this was a great win for Bo, and the defense was outstanding. This shows just how good they are and how good we'd be if we would have won last week. Broncos for life, images for life. I know, dude, but there's no putting that toothpaste back in the tube. That's water under the bridge. Zach, you got to move onwards and upwards.
Yeah, and the Broncos have already. They didn't wallow. They didn't fall back into old habits. They came out, they took care of business, and they looked like they were up for the challenge, Chad. How many times have we said the Broncos came out with no energy, no want to, no nothing? They looked like they were pissed off and taking it out on Atlanta today.
And as I speak, the Chiefs are facing a 4th and 13, down 9 points. 1 minute, 17 seconds left. This play will determine the game, basically. So we'll see. Grover, Bo freaking Nix, 300-plus yards, 4 tutties, a QBR of 145. Felt like the good old days of Elway and Manning, just dominating defenses. The future is bright, Broncos country, and he gets picked off. Sweet. Denver Broncos for life, MHH for life. Let's go. Grover, right there with you, big dog. It feels nice. It feels nice. And one of the things, Zach, that just makes me feel especially comfortable and confident and cozy with our quarterback situation is you got the quarterback and coach combo, and for many moons to come, and that's going to pay some dividends.
Today was a good day. It's always a good day whenever the Broncos win and the Chiefs lose. And the Broncos, like you said, Chad, it's looking good for them to make the wild card. And just imagine that for 1 second. 6 months ago, when the Broncos drafted Bo Nix, if we knew 6 months later they'd be in a good chance to make a wild card, it would be a resounding success. So everyone in Broncos country is happy right now, and they deserve to be happy right now.
Oh, man, there's just few things sweeter in life than seeing Mahomes picked off and then walking off the field in defeat. I mean, credit to the dude, right? Like, it's back in all those years, the 2-decade reign of Tom Brady, and back even before Peyton was a Bronco. He was the Bronco killer. Some guys, you just have to tip your cap to them. It's like Jordan in the 90s. It's like they can't be stopped. But they take on a kind of mythical, legendary oppositional kind of, I don't know, thing. I just love seeing Mahomes suffer just a little bit. Papa Bear, good evening, Broncos country. Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. Hashtag God bless USA. Hashtag 10-7. Let's go, Bo. What an amazing team win. Yes, it was, baby. I'm loving it. I'm soaking in all the ambiance in the same way, Zach, that we're trying to quickly exercise the demons from last week. I'm letting this one soak in for a day or two. Clay says, Broncos stayed on the throttle. Nix just keeps getting better. Broncos for life, MHH. Yes, sir, he does. And again, it's just phenomenal to see. As you can see on the ticker, 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, finishes with a QB rating of 145. Meanwhile, Zach, you don't see Jaden Daniels lighting it up the last couple weeks. Caleb Williams, he went 23 of 31 today for 231 yards, 0 tutties, 0 picks, but he lost. So the Bears are 4-6. Patriot Tex, can we say Bo had his breakout game today? Yes. Offense looked great. Defense was great. MHH for life. Let's go, Bo. I mean, last week, again, I just got done, Zach, saying that you can't cry over spilt milk. It's water under the bridge. But it's weird how a loss like that can, in many ways, in the hands of the right team with the right coaching and leadership, kind of be a win. Like, we talk about that there's no such thing as moral victories in the NFL. But, Zach, there's an exception to every rule, and maybe last week that was an exception because the Broncos had them dead to rights. It took a complete gaffe, and just low odds gaffe at that, for the Broncos to walk out of Arrowhead with the loss. They parlayed that confidence bump into an absolute dominant beatdown of a team that was 2 games above 500.
Yeah, it was his breakout game for sure, because he had decent performances, good performances, other times this season, but they weren't full 4-quarter performances. They weren't complete games. They took a couple quarters to get going. This, from the opening quarter, Bo Nix was sharp. He knew where he wanted to go with the football, and he was making the plays with his arm, not his legs, his arm.
Well said. Thank you, Tex. Let me just check here what Mr. Producer's saying to me before I grab David here. Thank you, bro. David Wilder, great to see you. Still rocking his OG MHH t-shirt. Love it, bro. Thank you, David. So awesome to see you today. Says, I'll say it. I'll do a little correction for you. Good afternoon. I don't know. Where are you? Is it morning where you are? Chad, Zach, and Scott in Broncos country. This is a great way to start the week. Bo is peaking at the right time. Hashtag Bo leave. MHH for life. Broncos for life. Amen, brother. Amen. And so good to see you. Appreciate you being with us tonight, David. Brandon Williams on Facebook, been saying it for weeks. Nix is our QB for a long time. Yes, indeed. And he says, Sean Payton finally figured out how to use Marvin Mims. Yeah, it was nice. The last 2 weeks have been a bit of a revelation in that department, Zach. For what it's worth, today, Marvin Mims had 3 carries, but for only 4 yards. So that still hasn't quite busted open, but in the passing game, he had a big dagger as a running back, catching a ball out of the backfield, finished with 2 receptions on 2 targets for 49 yards. And of course, he got a touchdown. So good to see Marvin Mims getting used.
Yeah, he had a nice punt return as well. He's definitely getting value out of their big weapons. And again, like I said earlier, Brandon, Sean Payton today was terrific as a play caller. I give him guff a lot. Chad does. We all do in Broncos country, but no qualms today at all.
Okay, Brandon, you are the man. Real quick, I'm just gonna look here. Let's see for rookies. I'll keep an eye on that. I'll go back and forth here. Let me go position. There we go. Well, I'll come back to it. Taylor, brother, great to see you. One of our great Super Chat superstars saying, guys, great blowout win, and let's go and humble the Raiders next week. Nix for Rookie of the Year. Only negatives, bad penalties on Bowles and PS2. Nix is the future. Yeah, but I don't fault Bowles for laying down the law a little bit. You know, it wasn't flagrant. What that I'm trying to remember. Was it Judon? Who was it that he was jumping on? Either way, what that guy did to Bo wasn't okay. I'm not even going to try and say that. You know what I'm saying? Scott's laughing. But it wasn't flagrant. But I like that Bowles is like, nah, dude, I'll take the 15. You stay off my guy. And, you know, he probably feels somewhat guilty for it. It sent him back temporarily. The PS2 thing, that's just heat of the moment stuff. Sometimes, you know, you're trying to tackle a grown-ass man that runs a 4-4 or whatever. You know, sometimes hand gets in the wrong spot and you're going to draw that. That's just like heated battle type stuff. I'm not tripping on that. And you're right. If those are your only negatives, Zach, what a romping success.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, those are the biggest nitpicks, and the Broncos had an excellent day at the office. And if you watch the game, you know they did.
Okay, Taylor, love it, dude. Good to see you. Bo Fadiz with a $20 super chat saying Bo for Rookie of the Year, hashtag Denver Broncos for life. Nix for 6, 10 and 7. I love it, dude. Amen. He's building up head of steam, dude. That Chiefs game really forced Zach, the NFL, to kind of bring things into focus for Bo Nix. Because he had a great first half, disappeared in the third, so to speak, and then just that final drive, especially that one big conversion to Cortland Sutton, was like, okay. Even Patrick Mahomes, after the game, tells Sean Payton, you've got one. You know, in other words, you finally got yourself a franchise guy. And he built on that with gusto. I mean, I think this was also Zach, Bo Nix sending a message to the fans as well as the NFL that, like, hey, I'm not happy with how that ended last week. I'm pissed off. I'm gonna communicate my feelings with my right arm.
There was a lot of adjustment that went on after the Kansas City game. One that I noticed too was on field goals and extra points. What they did with Alex Forsyth was kick him one spot outside and move Matt Parrott inside. It seemed to have fixed the problem, Chad. So good on the Broncos coaches.
Yeah, better late than never, I guess. Colby C. Collier, the Triple C in the house. Nice to see a complete game. I really think Bo deserves Rookie of the Year. Well, there's still a long row left to hoe, my friend. And that's the thing is now I think, and even like, you know, Nick had a lot of articles this last week and a couple of them were on the Bo Nix subject. And the kind of premise, the trope, the theme, I guess is a better word for it, in those articles was, well, you know, it seems Jaden Daniels has Offensive Rookie of the Year sewn up, but, you know, Bo's kind of building a head of steam. Well, now I think that entire storyline, Zach, has been flipped on its ear. I think in fairness, it's sixes right now. These guys are neck and neck, with one having upward trajectory momentum and one kind of going like this. That guy going up, we all know who it is.
One was also the second overall pick, and one was the 12th overall pick. And the second overall pick, he had that big Monday night breakout performance. So the national media, the name recognition, it all lined in Jaden Daniels' favor. But he's kind of, you know, hit a wall in recent weeks, whereas Bo Nix has pushed through that wall and is getting better. So it's going to be a close race. But just the fact, Chad, that Bo Nix is in it and a serious contender, if not favorite, speaks volumes to how well he's come and how far he's come this season.
I love seeing it, dude. This is I'm just happy for Broncos fans. We've been wandering that desert. Whoa, Howie. Thank you, bro. It's good to see this freaking super supporter on Facebook, Howie frickin' Day, throwing down. Thank you, bro. Some big boy stars, as we say here on the show on Facebook. But you actually made me lose track of my train of thought, Howie. So thank you, big dogs. Great to see you. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you, Howie.
Zach, We're at the 30-minute mark. Let's go through some studs and duds real quick here, huh?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to throw the name out. You tell me if it's a stud or a dud, okay? And I might throw a few statistical marks out along with it. But Javonte,
Stud.
after fading off, stud, right?
Stud.
9 carries, 59 yards, 6.6 average, and he got a touchdown. Plus, he chipped in another 28 yards on the as a receiver on 4 receptions. Jaleel averages 5 yards a carry on 4 totes today, Zach.
Stud.
Smaller bite at the apple, but I would
Yeah.
say stud. Audric Estime, smaller, or I should say lower average 2.7 on 6 carries, so 16 total yards. I still like the way he ran, made one nice play too, leaping over the defender on that. Was it the Bulls play that it ended up coming back, I think, when he leapt over the defender?
I'm not sure. I have to go back and rewatch. We have Kyle Evans, $10 super. Thank you so much, Kyle. We'll resume studs and duds in a second. Zach, I hope you agree with me. It's time to start collecting receipts from people who said Bo Nix was trash. Go Broncos. Kyle, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. I'm going to bring it back, but I had a big receipts thread in August, collecting all the negative opinions and tweets and takes on Bo Nix, Sean Payton, the Broncos. I'm going to go through some of them, Chad, including one guy who said the Broncos would be starting Zach Wilson by week 5, called him Bo Picks. Time to put him on blast. Freezing cold take's going to have a busy night tonight.
True. Kyle, great to see you, bro. Arlie Tucker, things are looking very bonito in Denver. They look like a complete team. The hope is back in Denver. Let's keep moving forward and upward. Go Broncos. Yeah. So 2 sacks today for Nick Bonito. He's got 9 now, Zach, on the season. He's 1 away from being the first double-digit sack artist in Denver since Vaughn and Chubb did it together in 2018. That was a long time ago, dude. My son Theo wasn't even born. He wasn't even a twinkle in his old man's eye in 2018, Zach. It's been a minute.
All the credit in the world to Nick Bonito, and also credit to the Broncos for bringing aboard Jamar Cain, his college pass rushing coach. Made a world of difference, and this is why you traded away Baron Browning. You had the confidence to make Nick Bonito the starter, and he has developed better. I'll eat some crow. I didn't think he would develop into a double-digit sack guy when they drafted him, Chad. I couldn't be happier to be more wrong.
Hey, Rose, jumping in. Good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well. Great team win all the way around. So happy to see this young group growing with confidence. Bo looking comfortable. Keep up the great work, fellas. MHH, Denver Broncos for life. Thank you, brother. We will. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. And absolutely a great team win. You know, if we're trying to pick nits, the only other thing I would say, I mean, you got the one pick from Cody Barton, but PJ Locke, my dog, how does it get handed to you? Like, come on, dude. And I know you got the thumb and like there's like this kind of little cast thing. Come on, dude. That's still like, it's not even at full velocity. The receiver stopped the full velocity, pops up into the air. And you just got to pluck it in the breadbasket like this. It hits you right here. It's just like floating. And that was a bummer, but no harm, no foul. You know, Broncos came out on top. Eric Flynn throwing down. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Thank you. So happy for Broncos country right now.
Thank you, Eric. That Phil McLaughlin, OG legend, chiming in. Afternoon, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. Really nice to us take advantage of a lesser team. Buckham, MHH, Broncos for life. Yeah, exactly. The Broncos can only, before some national media check mark says the Broncos only beat up on the 6-4 Falcons, they can only play who's in front of them. And they made the Falcons look like the Panthers. And the Falcons aren't the Panthers. They're a much better team. So that means the Broncos are a better team. And yeah, it's just nice to the Saints, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Panthers, those games the Broncos didn't squeak by, Chad. They dominated.
Oh, yeah. This is a good football team now, boys and girls. This is a team that opponents fear. The Denver Broncos, not fear in the sense of like, oh, Peyton Manning's going to drop 42 on us, but like when you have a ferocious defense that takes it away, gets after the passer and does what it does, and you're complementing that with really good situational coaching, top 10 special teams unit, and an offense led by a young, ascending franchise quarterback. Nobody wants to face that. Nobody wants to face that. So, Milwaukee, man, what's up, bro? Used to be DeWalter Drills. Okay, yeah. What's up, dude? So you changed? You switched brands? You went from DeWalter to Milwaukee? Good for you, man. I mean, I have more, for what it's worth, Milwaukee tools anyway than DeWalter. Great win, he says. Just ordered my white Knicks jersey. I feel hope again. Chiefs game was some BS. It was. It was. Speaking of jerseys, though, Zach, what'd you make of the orange and orange?
I like it. They've as a whole they've grown on me quite a bit, and it's especially they look especially good when they win in those, Chad. I'll say that.
Exactly. It kind of adds a patina to it when it's punctuated with a victory. But a few other notable performances today. Cortland Sutton, 7 receptions, Zach, 78 yards. So he's staying kind of on pace to push for 1,000-yard season. It would be awesome to see. Devon Vele, 4 receptions, 66 yards, as I mentioned earlier, total stud.
Yes,
Here's a little bit more controversial one. Would you say Lil Jordan Humphreys, 4 for 52 and a touchdown? Would you call him today a stud or a dud?
Dud. I'll get on my soapbox for 1 second, and I'll make it quick. I don't care that he capitalized on the touchdown. He broke away. I don't care that the catch was ruled a completion. He has at least one major screw up every single week. And when you have other receivers, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, Devon Vele, that have proven they can hold on to the ball and do more with it, then they should be getting the targets and receptions and attention that Lil Jordan Humphrey is. My biggest nitpick still, Chad, is the loyalty Sean Payton has to him. Rant over.
There you go. Okay, a few more names here. This is, consider it, guys, your 2-minute warning. Okay, if you got any burning topics, questions, supers, get them in the chat right now. Mr. Producer will find them. Make sure we get to them before we dip. But let's say smaller bite at the apple, Zach, but Troy Franklin, 2 for 15 and a touchdown.
Stud. Deconverted.
Even Nate Adkins got himself another score, 1 for 12 in that first touchdown. I mean, I'm going to call him a stud. I don't know about this this fullback handoff, but at least on one of them, Burton did move the chains. Okay, real quick here on defense, Jaquan McMillan, giveth he taketh. He's kind of been he's kind of had the brakes beaten off him in recent weeks, but today he had a couple of and then some redemption, a couple good plays. What did you make of Jaquan?
I thought he was there was more good than bad in front of the old no-fly zone who came out and saw the game today, Chad. I thought overall Riley Moss continues to look like a dog. Brandon Jones made some nice plays in run support. I thought overall the secondary played very well.
Yes, sir. And I love too at the end of the second quarter, that Riley Moss tackled that dude inbounds. Wasn't London, I think, tackled him inbounds, and so robbed him of a chance at a field goal. Yeah. Kyle Evans, do you guys have a membership that I can join? Thank you for the super chat, bro. No, but we will very soon. It's something that we've been talking about doing for a while. And the only reason why we haven't, I mean, Zach, we've had our community asking for membership option for a couple of years now. And the only reason we haven't is we don't just want to create membership and not provide additional value to those members be above and beyond the streams. And so we're kind of putting the finishing touches on what that will look like. So here's my promise to you. This will be the last season without membership. There will be membership about the time this season ends on YouTube, and then you can go gangbusters. In the meantime, thank you. Super Chat's a great way to support on YouTube. Okay. I think we're pretty clear, except we did get A Rose. We got him. It's so good to see you again, by the way. If you remember, it used to be AYY. I can't remember how he spelled the Rose. Remember, I used to botch his name, and you'd be like, it's
ROZAY, I think.
Yeah. So it's good to see you back in the house. A few shouts here. A very, very busy night in the chat. I love seeing it. I'm going to give Austin Dorff hope he's able to recognize that Sean Payton is great at developing QBs, and Nix is a great student of the game. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and this is a good point, Jeremy Sean. Good to see you, bro. Justin Simmons is a good man, but we needed different voices in the locker room. And, when Sean Payton talks about, Zach, how tough it was for the Broncos to release Justin Simmons, and that was, of course, a move that probably doesn't happen if they're not in such dire cap straits by first making an even harder decision to release Russell Wilson. But part of the calculus in that decision, if you could have been a fly on the wall in those halls and those rooms at Broncos HQ when those things were being debated, that issue specifically of Simmons. Zach, I would have bet money if there was a way to know for sure, right? I would have bet money on this was the kind of thing that was being talked about too. That just somehow we just need to evolve the leadership voices. And Simmons, it sucks for him that he was such a bright spot for the Broncos during the worst, most unprecedented stretch in the Super Bowl era. I mean, you can go back to the 60s, but you're already like right there with that initial Denver Broncos team in the AFL. So in terms of how bad the last 8 seasons have been relative to missing the playoffs, the number of losses, just that Chiefs winning streak, the Raiders winning streak. I mean, it's been bad. Justin Simmons was one of the bright spots, Zach, but there had to be a changing of the guard. And I think Jeremy's onto something here with the different voices needed in the locker room.
It was no different than when Sean Payton came in and unloaded Brandon McManus, who had been there for a decade and had been a Super Bowl, hero for them or whatever, Chad. So he wants things his own way. And I agree with you. You need different voices and also cheaper voices. There was no way that Simmons was worth, $16 million salary cap hit for this season. They were never going to pay him that. And honestly, in hindsight, Brandon Jones has been comparably good, if not better than Simmons this season.
Good to see you, Jeremy. Brian says, great to celebrate a win with the mile-high gut reaction. We got robbed last week, but great bounce-back win today. Go Broncos. Yes, indeed. I'm just checking here. Zach, while I take one last spin through the chat, you want to go through some of our matters of business before we dip on out?
Absolutely. That was a tremendous installment of the Gut Reaction podcast, the MHH podcast. If you haven't done so yet, you can follow us on Twitter at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out mhhmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, drop us a like, as you see right there, at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, 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 very important that you subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really does help us grow and reach more Broncos fans, just like you.
The Ronk checking in, punctuating a great gut reaction to say, good evening, Chad and Zach on the MHH podcast. Gut reaction. Go Bo Broncos. Thank you, Mike. You know we love you, big dog. So happy for you. Mile high salute right back at you. You're always going to get my attention with a comment like this on Facebook. John Marcus Bondurant says, Nix looked beast today. Really, he should have been 30 for 33 if not for those 2 drops. I've been saying it all year. Each week, he's been making major strides. It looks like the game is slowing down for him and our defense. Damn. By the way, love bridge the gap. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. And then there's one more from Timothy here on YouTube. Falcons fan here. Happy for Bo Nix. I remember watching him at Auburn. Didn't really have much talent around him. Glad he's succeeding. Well, thank you for checking in, my friend, and that's very kind of you to say. And yeah, it's good to see him. Bo Nix, that's one of the things that Sean Payton and the Broncos were intrigued relative to Bo Nix is that, Zach, he'd been through some adversity already in his college career with the way things ended at Auburn, transferring out, going to Oregon. And then, of course, to have all the, at times, Zach, I'll be frank, shade thrown his way in the pre-draft process, people calling him a noodle arm and that, he was a day 2 guy and the Broncos reached. He's making some people look quite foolish here, and then we'll grab James before we go.
The people that were saying that were foolish, though, for jumping to such an extreme contrarian point of view and not just seeing Bo Nix for what he is. But that's their problem. We have Bo Nix, and that's a good thing now. James Edwards, 999 Super. Thank you so much, James. James says we're going to be in the playoffs this year and in the driver's seat next year in the West. You know what? It's not crazy. That dynasty in Kansas City, Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed, can't last forever. Meanwhile, the Broncos are now on the come up. They showed that they could beat him face-to-face last year. They should have beat him this year. The Broncos are ascending, and that's the biggest thing that we wanted to take away from this season, chat, that they have their guy.
Amen to that. And thank you, James. Good to see you, brother. A mile high salute and a special shout out to the great Super Chat superstars and supporters tonight, helping us keep the lights on, like Colin, like William Shaw, Ted Wunderlich, Chris Hernandez, Top Rope, Multiplication. Love you, bro. Zebo down in Australia, much love. The Duchess, Zeus, Brendacho, Riptide, Max, Ralph. There he is. Ralph, Diamond Rattler, Casey Nickel, Superstar, George Fox, Grover, Papa Bear, Superstar, Clay Wise, Patriot Tex, definitely a superstar. David Wilder, OG Superstar. Did I already? No. Taylor, Superstar. Brandon Williams on Facebook. Bo Fadiz. I don't know. I feel like there's something going on there in that handle, but the Triple C, Howie Frickin' Day, Kyle Evans, Arlie Tucker, A Rose, Phil in Tucson, the Milwaukee Man, Eric Flynn, Kyle Evans, the Ronk, and James Edwards. Love you guys. Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow for the Aftermath episode. Broncos for breakfast. Scott on the bright. All right. So you'll look forward to that tomorrow. Can't wait.
Have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy this victory, Broncos country. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.